Hello friends, welcome back. I am Vivekanandan. Today, the needs of human beings is met by so many products, and those products are supplied by various different sectors or industries. In spite of this, a human being can still live without many industries. For example, a human being can survive without a computer or a mobile phone, but he can never survive without food, and that food is supplied by this particular sector called as agricultural sector. So agriculture occupies a primary role in our life of a human being for its survival. Agriculture plays a vital role in the life of a human being. In spite of this, in India, we know that agricultural sector is facing so many difficulties. The farmers are in distress. In fact, it is very heartbreaking to read news of farmers committing suicides. And in today's video, let us discuss about what are those problems faced by this agricultural sector. We will try to touch upon those basic problems, and we will discuss about what are those new tech coming inside these sectors and how we should be handling this particular sector, which is agriculture. So let's right away jump into this topic, into the video. To start with, what is that reason, what is that fact or statistics which tells you that agricultural sector is suffering in India? How do you say that as a data? So we have to understand that Indian economy is made by three sectors. Three sectors contribute to the economy of the country, which is one is the agricultural sector, second is the manufacturing sector. In this sector, all the industries come inside the sector, and the third sector is something called the services sector, where tourism, hospitality, teaching, IT services, all these people, all these components make these IT sector. So the problem here is these two sectors, which is the manufacturing sector and the services sector, together contribute 85% to the country's economy, or in other words, to the GDP of the country. So what is GDP? So the value of all products produced in a country in 1 year is called as GDP, and that is how using GDP the economy is actually measured in current scenario. So 85% is contributed from these two sectors, which is manufacturing and the services. So how much does the agricultural sector contribute, or you call this as the primary sector? So the primary sector actually contributes around 15 to 20% to Indian economy. And what is the bigger problem here? So how much people are employed in this sector? In the agricultural sector, it is more than 60% of the people are employed in this agricultural sector, whereas only 40% is being employed in these two sectors, which is the manufacturing and the services sector. Now you can imagine the prosperity in these sectors and the plight of farmers in this sector. So the money circulation is very less in this particular sector, but the people employed over here is very high. So the end of the day, the money which will go and reach their hands is going to be very less, and that is the most important problem in terms of economics. So the first is the contribution to the economy is very less from this particular sector, but it has not been the case. Agriculture used to be one of the most richest sector, most prosperous sectors in the country. India is an agricultural country. Agriculture forms a backbone of the country. So what happened here? What are the other problems faced by this sector? So the next important problem would be something called as fragmented land holdings. So what do you mean by fragmented land holdings? For example, in India, we still form this particular structure called as inheritance from the parents and inheritance from the grandparents. So for example, if a farmer has 1 acre of land and the farmer has 2 sons, what he would do? He would finally, when he writes his will, what he would do was he will divide this 1 acre of land into 50% into 250% and give it to his 2 sons. And what would happen again is these 2 sons will again have another 2 sons. So when they again divide the will, they will again further divide it into 2. So end of the day, that 1 acre of land with 100% became 50 percentage. Now it is fragmented into 25 percentage, 4 pieces of 25 percentage. This is just one generation. Imagine this is the case in our culture for generations together. So end of the day, the final land holding for a farmer in today's country, in the country today, is very less, and that is one of the important problems. The land holding per person is very less. So now you might ask me, so what is the big problem? Why not make much more dividends, reap much more, harvest from this very small piece of land? So there again lies a bigger problem. The data suggests that in India, per hectare of land actually produces only 2.4 tons of food. The food output from one hectare is just 2.4 tons. Just our neighboring Asian countries, there the food output is around 4 tons, and in bigger countries, in richer countries, in wealthier countries, it is said that it is more than 4 tons. So just imagine. So again we have a problem in maintaining those land, in reaping dividends from that particular land. And why is that again happening? Again in India, the another problem over here is there's a big debate between what kind of manures, what kind of fertilizers to be used. So far, considering the country's population, we used chemical fertilizers and we actually reached a big dividend. But then there's a big talk of only organic farming so that people will become more healthy. When there's a big debate between these two products, again a new type of farming has emerged. In fact, in the last year's budget, a lot of money was dedicated to this particular farming, which is called as natural farming. And what is that natural farming? Natural farming totally opposes these two sectors, these two types of farming, saying that both are contrary to nature. Actually speaking, they say that the soil has enough capacity, diversity, wealth to produce the plants and trees or whatever form of cultivation we need. So you just need to do some basic inputs over here, and the soil will take care of our food needs. But then there is again a debate with that as well. So there's a big lots of talks going between what kind of manures to be used. If that is the case, in another case, India still is dependent upon monsoon. If in one season if the monsoon fails, again there's a big problem in agriculture, which means that our water security is not intact. We need much more dams, we need a much more regular flow of water. So that is again happening in one particular side. And we have few more problems like weather problem, like all of a sudden a cyclone hits, or if it is going to be a heavy drastic rainfall, even that is causing problem. So if you're going to speak about problems relating with Indian agriculture, it goes on and on and on. But then you might ask, aren't there any good news about agriculture? There are a lot of good news about agriculture as well. The point is, in today's scenario, what we see is a lot of youngsters, students completing engineering, doing MBA, they are jumping into the field of agriculture, and they know that we really have to contribute to this sector, and a lot of startups are emerging. And in fact, startups are coming using technology here, bringing artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, blockchain into agriculture. In fact, one particular fact I was very surprised to see, that is, one particular tractor is fitted with sensors, and that tractor goes around the fields, and while it comes back, the sensors fitted in the tractors gives you data that in this particular area the plants lack calcium content in them. We really have to give much more calcium to the plants in this particular area. So we have so much of data here. So a lot of innovations are going to happen in the agricultural sector, and that is one good news. And what about the farmers? There are a few farmers who learned business as well. For example, many farmers get into contract farming, and many farmers get into contracts with many big concerns, big organizations like Haldiram's, Balaji Wafers, McDonald's, and so on, etc, etc, etc. So what is the benefit of this? So when they get in touch with large organizations, what happens is, for example, a large organization, they want to make some kind of a potato chips, and they want potatoes in bulk. in tons and tons. What they used to do was they directly get into an agreement with the farmers, and they supply them with all the essential items, right from seeds to technology to ideas. Only the farmer, what he or she needs to do is they just need to do proper reaping, sowing, all these agricultural techniques, and finally harvest, and then do business with those organizations. When they are doing business with tons and tons, what actually happens is they get some bigger profits. So we see there are a few farmers who have become crorepathies as well. That is something very very essential for the ecosystem. So farmers are also learning business techniques. So that is a welcome move. But then a few more words about agriculture. Very recently I was watching a television show. It was a comedy show, and there were two persons performing comedy, and the audience were clapping, encouraging them. And all of a sudden what happened was one particular person who was doing comedy, he started speaking about agriculture. The moment that particular person made some jokes on agriculture in a positive way, what happened was all the people, the audience were applauding them, giving them a lot of claps. And again the comedian, then he will point out to the next person, and he will again mock at the audience, saying that didn't I tell you this, the moment I speak about agriculture I will get applause. And again the audience were clapping for that particular person. The point I'm trying to say over here is very simple. Awareness level of people has increased in today's scenario. In today's scenario, right from cultural awareness to food awareness, the awareness level of people is very high. People are looking for healthy food products. They understand that farmers are in distress. We have to contribute. Everything is that this is on a positive, everything is good, and this is on a positive side. But the problem over here is so on the flip side, what is the problem? The same people who are appreciating developments in agriculture, they don't follow those developments at their home. For example, they have trees at their home. For example, a person has a papaya tree or has a tomato plant. What they do is they just pluck it out and throw it away. Cut those trees which are at home, at their home. When I was speaking with my neighbor who was cutting down the trees within his compound, the answer he gave was, I know that trees are good for nature and all those things are fine, but who will clean my garden? All these leaves which are becoming dry in summer are falling down and making my place filthy and dirty, and I will not be able to clean it every single day. And that is the kind of answer they are giving. And the point over here is today's agriculture that just don't need emotional appreciation. We really need to have some scientific temper over here, scientific appreciation. Much more science and technology needs to get into agriculture. We need to remember that the world's first scientific occupation was agriculture. Yes, during Harappa civilization, Indus Valley civilization, people started doing agriculture. People started following farming. And what did they do? Did they just simply plow the land? No, they were doing it on a scientific evidence, on a very, very scientific ways. They followed very scientific phase. So my point over here is today's agriculture again needs those science to solve the various problems plaguing the sector. So I have just scratched the surface in terms of speaking about problems in agriculture. So please share your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks for watching this video and have a good day.